What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing the introduction video to a little series about how to win a Bay Bass tournament. And this has been something that has been requested a lot, and I feel like a lot of you guys would like to see. And basically, it's just going to be about what I use, what I do, what will help you in getting just that next step up to be able to win. Because a lot of you guys can go out there and catch good fish, but sometimes it's that extra inch, 2 inches that will set it apart from first and second to 10th place. And a lot of that goes back to bass theory and just being on the water and observing a lot of things. And you can learn it, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to notice that. And hopefully this video series will be able to shorten that for you guys and help you out with getting those fish and putting your baits in the right spot and doing everything that you need to be doing out there to secure a big bag and a good finish in these tournaments. And along with all of that, hopefully just make you have better time on the water. Like, not everybody wants to go out there and just not catch anything all day just trying to learn. And that does happen. If you want to try something new and it's not working that day, that will happen. Just time on the water is one of the most important things to all of that. And kind of the first thing that I believe in spotty fishing is that 80 to 90% of the fish are going to be doing the exact same thing. There's not going to be 15 different things happening at the same time, at least for big fish. Those fish are very habit-based and do the exact same thing throughout different times of the year. Once you can pattern them, then you will know where those big fish are throughout the year. No matter what time of year, water clarity, anything, you'll know what to do. And a lot of times in that like transition time, there's going to be fish doing multiple things, like transitioning in the seasons, but it's either going to be one of two things. They're in the docks or they're in the grass. And the way I've always broken it down is they go to the grass to spawn. When spotties go to spawn, they go out on a grassy area where on an incoming tide where it will wash their eggs into the bay and into the grass. If it's not in that late spring to early fall, they're not going to be spawning. At least the big fish won't be in the grass. That's been my experience up here fishing LA and San Diego. Pretty much every bay spotties live in. That's what I've come to notice. Pretty much every other time of the year, they're going to be relating to some sort of hard structure, like docks, mooring cans, rocks, something like that. They're going to be wanting to sit in 90% of the time. So if you want to go out there and target big fish, fish something that is going to present itself in a rocky, hardcover environment, because most, other than about 4 or 5 months of the year, that's where majority of the big spotties are going to be. In those like 4 to 5 months in the hot months of the year in summer, they will push out to the grass, and it takes a completely different presentation, completely different approach to catching those fish rather than dock fishing in the winter. You normally have warmer, muddier water with more algae growth and more dirtier water per se, not like muddy like in the winter after a rain, but more color like green water. That's what you really want to look for when you have that grass bite happening. Most of the time your water will be that greenish color. And wintertime, it's more that brownish after the rain. Normally the spotties don't like to be in that super clean, like pristine looking water. So you want to find somewhere that's not too nasty, but not too clean at the same time. So somewhere, always fishing somewhere where the water has color and there is temperature increase. They like the warmest water they can be in. They don't always want to be in cold water. I have seen better bites in the coldest water in the bay because it has the muddiest water. But that's just, it's kind of a fluke. Most of the time that muddy water is going to be your warmest water. So looking for something with that warmer, muddier water in the wintertime will be your key. Summertime, it'll be more of that greener, like more algae colored water, like a light tealish green would be the best way to describe it. And that teal green color water is going to be like healthy in the summertime. If you have really clear waters, that means there's probably not much life in that area. If you have really nasty water, most likely that's because of a rain or something, and those fish will tend to push out of that because it's going to be incredibly warm water. They don't want to be in super hot water, they don't want to be in super cold water. So somewhere in that middle ground is a perfect range for them. And you can spend a long time just talking about water and water clarity and water temperature when it comes to these fish. They can be even more picky than largemouth when it comes to that, because with the amount of water and current that's moving in and out of these bays, you get a lot of temperature, color change, and it will position those fish differently. And kind of the next thing in line of importance is bait placement. This might even triumph everything, because it doesn't matter what you're fishing, whether it's a vertical tactic or something like a crankbait, something that you're moving quick. Just because it's there doesn't mean they want to bite it. If it's not in the perfect ambush point, so those fish don't want to move if they don't need to. Big fish get big by conserving energy. They don't get big by hunting. So if you can run something quick that's going to get him to react and just try to kill it or get it out of its zone, you will most likely catch a bigger fish than the guy going through there dragging something slow or not presenting it in the right spot. So bait presentation is of huge importance, especially in spotty fishing where you have a lot of current and these fish really stuck up tight to the structure. So like if you're fishing a mooring can, for example, you want to bring your bait. The mooring can rope will always scope in the current. So say this is your block, your mooring can's over here, your line will scope out like this. So just because the can is over here does not mean that the actual structure the fish is sitting on is underneath it. The fish can suspend along the rope, but 90% of the time the biggest fish is going to be on the current side. So if the current's pushing this way, it's going to be on the protected, like shady side per se. Like if the sun's facing this way on a tree, the shade's going to be over here. Same thing goes to the current. If it's coming this way, there's going to be an eddy right here. And that's where that fish is going to sit. So if you can bring your bait coming down with the current, because when you see a smelt, they don't ever want to go against strong current. They will if they're getting chased or if they need to, but most of the time they're going to travel with it. So if you bring your bait with the current past the spot, right where the spot is sitting right here, comes right past it, he's going to shoot out 2 tail kicks and smash it. If you're out way over here, 10 feet away from it, that fish is going to have to expend a lot more energy to chase down and hunt that crankbait. And especially if it's something moving quickly, they don't have a chance to look at it, they're just going to hit it. If it's moving fast far away from them, they have to expend a lot of energy to come not only chase it this way, but also chase it down as it's coming towards you. So those fish will not want to expend that much energy chasing something that they don't even know if they're going to get. If it gets right up in their zone and they don't have a choice, they're going to smack it. They just want it to get out of there. Sometimes they don't even want to eat it. They're just curious. They're either curious what it is or they just want to kill it. And if you think about it, in the bay you have spotties, you have your sand bass, your calicos, corvina, sharks, rays, a million fish in the bay. These fish don't survive off of just sitting there and not taking a meal when they have a chance to. So when a spotty sees an opportunity to eat and it's in its area that it is easy for it to get to, it's going to take that opportunity. It's not like a largemouth where they're the main predator in their lake. A largemouth can be very wary and let a meal pass by. Say they see your line, they'll let the meal pass because they know they can find another one. Spotties don't know if they're going to get another meal that day. So they're generally not line shy, but it does matter where you put your bait. A lot of times color doesn't even matter. It's all about placement. If your bait is not in the right spot, you are not going to get bit. You could put a torpedo sinker in a right spot and they will bite it. The color does not matter for spotty fishing. contrast, in terms of color, contrast is the most important thing. So if you're fishing muddy water, you see a bait like this has a lot of contrast. You have your chartreuse, you have your blue, and you have your white. Those are all very contrasting colors to what they're seeing in nature. And if you have a muddy water, overcast day, you're gonna have less visibility for those fish. If they have something that contrasts more against their natural environment, they're gonna be drawn to it. If you have something that blends in like a natural color like this, like a green, like olive green, they're not going to see it as easy as something bright and chartreuse and vibrating and flash on that muddy water. But exact opposite, if you have clear, clean water, go to the most natural colors, because they're going to be able to see your bait, and they're going to know what they're looking at in terms of, is it a real bait or not. So those olive greens, the silvers, all that kind of stuff that's going to look more like a smelt or an anchovy or whatever they're eating down there is going to be better off for your clear water, because it doesn't contrast against what they're eating. But not to say you can't go through there with your chartreuse spinnerbait with bright silver blades and catch them. Again, they're fish. They don't know what's going on half the time. And a big thing with spotties is flash. I fish a lot of silver, like flashy baits. Like this is a double willow spinnerbait, lots of flash, dual chrome blades. A lot of what spotties eat is a very flashy bait fish. Smelt are incredibly bright. Anchovies are incredibly bright silver, almost like chrome in the water. So anything with that very bright silver flash is going to draw those fish in. And especially something like a spinnerbait or an A-ray with lots of blades on it is going to imitate exactly what those fish are eating, which is basically a silver thing shooting through the water. They don't see it as a fish, they see a silver flash before they see anything. So something like this will draw them in from farther than just a single swim bait with nothing. It's more natural in the water in terms of sight, but it's not more natural in terms of flash and vibration. So if you want more attraction to your baits, add blades, add more baits. The bigger your bait or your presence is in the water, the more interested those fish are going to be. The more vibration or feel that thing is putting off, the more likely that fish is going to be curious to go to it. So like I was talking about earlier with putting your bait in the right spot, putting something that has a lot of flash, a lot of vibration, a lot of visibility will draw fish away from a spot. If you're fishing more natural baits, presentation is more important than anything. If you're fishing something louder with more flash, more vibration, more drawing power, it will pull those fish farther. So if you're not that good at precision casting or very technical casts and good angles, try something like this. This has a lot of drawing power. This is great for fishing over grass. It'll pull fish up from the bottom, so you don't have to be worried about right down where they are. If this is coming 3 feet up off of the bottom, they will see it and they will sense it before it gets to them. So they will be coming up to check it out before they even have a chance to see it. They can feel the vibration of the blades, the kick of the swim bait, and just overall, when you pull something through the water, it's going to displace water. So anything, no matter what, is putting off some sort of vibration. It's just how to maximize that and still attract the fish. Because there can be times where vibration is too much. Like if you have a fully set up A-rig and it's crystal clear water, the vibration can be too much and it can spook fish. Especially like a really loud crankbait. Like my favorite crankbait is a dredger. This is a 20.5. It's not a super loud bait, but it still has a rattle to it. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's a decently loud rattle. Like there's baits like the 6XD Hard Knot. That bait is very loud in the water and it has a lot of drawing power. But it can be too much for fish. Sometimes you need a silent crankbait. If it's really clear water, very finesse conditions, a silent crankbait will outproduce any other crankbait. But again, with that, you don't have as much drawing power. So those fish won't come as far to see what it is. the louder, flashier, more vibrant your bait is in the water, the farther fish will come to see it, but the less likely they will be to commit to it in the more pressured finesse situations. If you have, like, say it's a perfect wide open bite, every cast you're catching a fish, the biggest fish is going to see the biggest, loudest presence before the smallest fish. The smallest fish will always be the first ones to bite because they're the least wary. They want to expend, they can expend energy. It's like a young kid. They can run around and go everywhere to catch their food. These bigger bass will always pick up the scraps or the biggest meal that's not gonna, it's gonna attract the smaller fish, but they're not gonna be willing to commit to it. So like a bigger swim bait, a bigger crankbait, like something, a big profile, lots of things going on, will attract a bigger fish in an ideal situation. That is obviously far from everyday experience. Like, you'll hardly ever see anything like that. But in theory, the biggest profile, loudest bait will draw the biggest fish from farthest away. But a lot of times, those fish will be hunkered down right where they need to be. Textbook areas always will hold the biggest fish. Just because you think, oh, somebody's fished there 5 other times, it doesn't mean the fish isn't there. The best looking area will always have the biggest fish. They take the best area for themselves. They don't want to move. They will sit there, low tide or high tide. If it's in the water, they'll be there. Doesn't matter if it's in a foot of water, doesn't matter if it's in 20 feet of water. The biggest fish will take the best prime spot. And that is one of the biggest takeaways from this, is bait presentation and where these fish will sit. And one of the other major things is how many casts you can get in a day. If somebody's going around pitching a 1/4 ounce jig around the docks, he's going to hit maybe 100 docks. Just making up numbers, he's probably going to hit 100 docks in all day. Say a guy going around with like a 3/4 ounce or like a metal jig like an Ikara or something heavy that's going to get to the bottom quickly and get out and onto the next one. He's going to hit maybe 300 or 400 columns in that same amount of time. So using your time and using your presentations wisely will always put you in a better situation than somebody that's not. If you go down and put your bait into 100 more columns than somebody else, you're putting your bait into realistically 20 or 30 more bite zones where there's a fish than the other guy. If in a perfect world, there'd be a fish on every column, but it's not a perfect world, so you'll probably put your bait in front of, out of those 100 more columns, probably 20 or 30 fish. And if you get in front of more fish, the odds of catching a bigger fish are going to be better. If you don't constantly move and use your time wisely and fish efficiently, you're never going to cross paths with the fish that you need on tournament day. If you're just going down, flipping every column, going slow, working the whole dock, like working through there nice and slow, yeah, you'll get a few big ones that other people are missing, but you need 5 fish. You don't need 25. You need 5 big ones. And if you're going to put your bait in front of 20 other fish, if 10 of them refuse, that's still 10 fish. And out of those 10 fish, you'll probably end up with 5 good ones. So if you put your bait in the right spot every time, more times than anybody else, you're going to have a better limit than everybody else will. It's just all about using your statistical advantage to you. These fish are very predictable. They're going to do the same thing every day. And if you can learn exactly how to pattern these fish and exactly what to use and exactly the right times to do so, you're going to do better than 90% of the field, because not everybody wants to put in the work to do that. And a lot of it is just finding areas that are holding fish and knowing exactly how to present a bait properly to those fish. And throughout the rest of the series, I'm going to go in depth on each bait, technique, everything that I'll use, and try to go in deep as possible. And whatever you guys are able to take from that, I hope it's able to help you. And Thanks for watching the video.